Rachel Ziegler was supposed to be Disney's next Golden Girl, a rising star chosen to lead the live-action Snow White, backed by a billion-dollar studio and a legacy cherished for generations. But instead of a fairy tale, it became a full-blown disaster. The film didn't just flop, it was torn apart online, bombed at the box office, and now sits forgotten in the digital graveyard of Disney+. And at the heart of the collapse, Rachel Ziegler herself, now more famous for political tirades and painfully awkward interviews than for any on-screen magic. But this downfall didn't begin when the movie premiered. The trouble started long before the first trailer even dropped. From the moment Rachel began speaking publicly about the story, Disney, and even politics, it rubbed fans the wrong way. She didn't just critique the original Snow White, she dismissed it, calling it outdated and problematic. That one move alienated generations of Disney loyalists. While Disney was trying to balance nostalgia with a modern edge, its lead actress was openly mocking the very foundation of the film. Then came the on-set drama. Reports surfaced that Rachel and her co-star Gal Gadot, yes, Wonder Woman herself, were clashing during filming. Insiders claimed the atmosphere was tense, with creative disagreements and personality conflicts taking over what should have been a collaborative effort. And to make matters worse, Disney marketed the film not as a timeless story, but as a social statement, loaded with buzzwords like inclusion and representation, while seemingly neglecting the one thing audiences truly care about: genuine chemistry and compelling storytelling. By the time the movie actually hit theaters, it was already too late. The damage had been done. Audiences weren't buying it, literally. Theaters were half empty, box office numbers were brutal, and when the film limped its way onto Disney+, viewership was shockingly low. What was meant to reignite the magic of classic fairy tales instead became one of Disney's most embarrassing failures in recent memory. And Rachel, rather than laying low and letting the storm pass, she doubled down, launching into yet another round of political commentary. She blamed the backlash, and her drying pipeline of job offers, on her outspoken beliefs. In her words, she was being punished for speaking out. She claimed Hollywood has a double standard. Men can rant about politics freely, but women get shut out for doing the same. It wasn't the first time she'd said this, but now, it hit differently. Why? Because the offers really have stopped coming in. In a recent public statement, Rachel said Hollywood has become unrecognizable. She pointed fingers at the industry, accusing it of abandoning diversity, caving to political pressure, and blacklisting voices like hers. But for many, this wasn't bravery, it was deflection. Instead of owning her role in the Snow White fiasco, the awkward interviews, the arrogant remarks, the alienation of fans, she tried to flip the script, not "I tanked a movie," but "I'm being silenced for fighting for justice." The problem? Hollywood has never been apolitical. Actors have spoken out for decades, from Robert De Niro to Julia Roberts to Alec Baldwin. The difference? They had the work, and the audience, to back it up. Actors have been outspoken about politics for decades. That's nothing new. But the difference? Most of them know how to play the game. Rachel didn't. She stepped into the biggest spotlight of her career, and used it to criticize the very system that was elevating her. Instead of rallying fans, she pushed them away. Instead of staying composed under pressure, she stirred the pot even more. At the peak of her rise, Rachel Zegler was getting scripts from major studios, walking red carpets with A-listers, and headlining a Disney blockbuster. Now, she's doing indie films with shoestring budgets and limited releases, projects so under the radar most people won't even know they exist. One of her latest films reportedly has a total budget under $10 million and stars Marissa Tomei, a sharp contrast to Disney-level spectacle. But it's not just about money, it's about relevance. The buzz is gone. The spotlight has faded. And it seems like Rachel knows it, too. In a recent interview, she admitted she doesn't feel like she's in Hollywood's valued age bracket anymore, a strange thing to hear from someone barely in her 20s. But it wasn't really about age. It sounded like someone grappling with the idea that maybe she burned too many bridges too soon, that the doors she thought would always be open have slowly closed, one by one, while she was too busy fighting political battles instead of winning over audiences. Yes, there's truth in what she says. Hollywood is cruel, especially to women. The pressure around age, appearance, behavior, it's relentless. But Rachel didn't just get caught in the machine. She challenged it, insulted it, and then acted shocked when it spit her out. It's a brutal industry, but it's still an industry. Studios want stars who can deliver headlines and ticket sales. And when that balance tips too far in one direction, careers don't just stall, they vanish. Hollywood wants stars who sell tickets, not controversy. One of the biggest turning points in Rachel Zegler's Backlash came when she made a bold political statement. "If you support Donald Trump, I don't want your business." That one sentence went viral, and not in a good way. In a country where millions still support him, she didn't just express an opinion, she alienated a massive portion of her potential audience. Families who might have taken their kids to see Snow White suddenly chose to stay home. Boycotts were launched. Clips of her interviews spread like wildfire on social media, often out of context, but the damage was done. It wasn't just political anymore, it felt personal. To many, Rachel wasn't just sharing her beliefs, she was attacking theirs. And here's the harsh truth: no matter how right you think you are, if your career depends on public support, you can't insult half the audience and expect them to keep clapping. What made it worse is that actors like Pedro Pascal and others have said even more extreme things, and their careers survived. So clearly, it's not just about being political. It's about timing, tone, and how you present yourself. Rachel came across as dismissive, self-righteous, and ungrateful. And when Snow White bombed, those traits were amplified. Now, with the dust settling, she's stuck in a strange limbo, not fully cancelled, but clearly not in demand. And in Hollywood, that's a death sentence. Because once the calls stop coming, momentum fades fast. There's always another fresh face, someone ready to play the game, smile through interviews, charm the press, and wait for the right moment to speak freely after they've built the power to survive the backlash. Rachel may truly believe she did the right thing by standing up for her beliefs. But in an industry built on illusion and perception, doing the right thing doesn't always keep you working. Doing the right thing doesn't always mean doing the smart thing. Rachel Ziegler's story has quietly become a cautionary tale in Hollywood, not just about being outspoken, but about how fast the tide turns when you forget that the audience is always watching and listening. She had everything: a lead role in a Disney film, rising star power, full industry support. But when she finally spoke, it didn't feel like she was speaking to the audience, it felt like she was speaking against them. No matter how justified her message may have been, audiences weren't looking for a lecture. They were looking for a movie. They wanted wonder, not a war of opinions. There's an unspoken rule in the entertainment world: let the work speak first. Earn the audience's love before trying to shape their beliefs. The greats understood that. They built connection before they used their voices for bigger messages. Rachel skipped that step. She entered the spotlight ready for a fight, but forgot one crucial thing. You have to win hearts before you win arguments. And once the audience stops rooting for you, it's a long, hard road back. Meanwhile, Disney was facing a crisis of its own. The Snow White remake didn't just flop. It became a symbol of the company's larger identity breakdown. Critics accused Disney of trading storytelling for agenda, of prioritizing buzzwords over magic. Fans felt condescended to, not inspired. With streaming numbers falling and public trust fading, Snow White became the poster child for what happens when a studio loses touch with its audience. And Rachel, fairly or not, she became the face of that failure, the lightning rod for everything people felt was wrong with the film and with Disney itself. She didn't just carry the weight of a bad movie, she became the symbol of a misstep that echoed across the industry. It was never just about Rachel Ziegler's politics. It was about timing, tone, and the growing perception that she represented a movement more focused on making statements than telling stories. And yet, she hasn't disappeared. She's still working, still active on social media, still unapologetically political. But there's a shift. The fire has dimmed. The frustration is louder now. In recent interviews, Rachel spoke of dark times in Hollywood, of studios turning away from diversity, of progress feeling like it's slipping backward. Her words reveal something deeper than defiance. They reveal disappointment, disillusionment. Maybe, just maybe, beneath all the bold statements is someone realizing that the spotlight can blind you if you don't know how to stand in it. Because the truth is, Rachel Ziegler is talented. That's never been the issue. But in Hollywood, talent is only one part of the equation. Timing, strategy, grace, these matter just as much. And right now, the roles she's getting reflect an industry pulling back, cautious. Small films, limited releases, quiet projects few will hear about. She might call it a temporary lull. Others might call it the fallout from a rise that came too fast, with too many missteps. The good news: there's still time. Hollywood loves a comeback. But it will take more than tweets and causes. It'll take smart roles, subtle growth, a reminder of why she was chosen in the first place. It'll take humility, distance from the drama, and the kind of choices that rebuild trust, not just attention. Because the next few years will decide everything. Whether Rachel Ziegler becomes a lasting name in the industry or just a headline from a messy chapter in Disney's history. The camera might not be pointed at her right now, but it's still in the room. And if she's paying attention, she'll realize, sometimes, silence speaks louder than 1,000 tweets. Hollywood doesn't forget. But it does forgive. The real question is, will she give it a reason to?